Good evening, everybody. This is Jeff from Treasure Talk, Treasure Tales. It is Thursday evening. It's 8 p.m. and we're sitting in the deep freeze here in Florida. It's cold, cold, cold. Now, I know a lot of you up north are colder still, and I apologize for that, but I lived for 50 years or better. Well, not quite 50 years. Let's see, I moved here in 94, so I was 44 when I moved to Florida. And the first year I moved to Florida, I moved right after Thanksgiving. I thought, boy, I'm done with all the cold. Guess what? As soon as I moved down here, within 2 weeks, it was down to 18 degrees that year. I said, this is nuts for me. So, anyways, usually it's not like this, but we're expecting some extremely cold weather for the next few days, all in the mid next week. And then for the New Year's, on New Year's Day, I think it's probably going to be 78 degrees here. So I guess we can take a little bit of the cold. I guess we have no choice. We have to, you know. So a lot of stuff going on, an awful lot of stuff going on in the world of detecting. I think that Phil does have some Mind Lab, the new Mind Lab Equinox 900s. I think he's got some of those in stock. But they're going pretty fast. So if you do want one, you need to call him and to get one, 813-237-1939. And like I always say, if Phil don't have it in stock, you don't need it. But I don't think there's any news on the Manticore yet when he's going to get those. Um, we'll know more on Monday night when we have our epic females wonderful female detectorists of the world show. It'll be an epic show. So we hope that you all will come and join us that night. And it is the season, and I know there's a lot of you that can't get out and detect now because you just be getting just blizzards and stuff. So if you do have travel plans, I would beg of you to be safe. Don't take any unnecessary chances. Let's live for another day. Uh, where you can be with your loved ones, and nobody wants you to have a bad accident or something, and have a bad accident befall you. That just would not make for good Christmas season. So everybody just try to be safe and be in a good mood. It's we have it better than a lot of people all around the world do. So there is that. A lot of new things are happening. Like we said, new things coming in to the shop with Phil. And in the new year, there's going to be a lot of good things happening. There's going to be some changes coming down the road, and we'll, talk a little bit more about that after the first of the year. So there's going to be some changes on Treasure Tales, and so we'll talk about that more after the first of the year. Now, a couple things. If you weren't watching Treasure Talk on Monday night, there's a couple things. I did get my shaft for the XP Deus 2, the all carbon fiber shaft from Steve's Detector Rods. Now, it's an absolute gem of a product. It's really good. And I'm expecting a shaft from Detect Ed as well. Now, I know somebody asked me, far does it go down? Well, there it is. That's totally collapsed. It's just like the Deus. So that's totally collapsed. And, somebody said they didn't like that because it didn't have a rubber grip on the handle. Well, you don't really need one. If you feel like you need something like that, then put something on it. But other than that, it's the cam locks are wonderful. And excuse me. And this front coming through is driving me insane. It's got a little lock mechanism on it. Let me get some water here. To lock your remote control on, which is a little thing that I asked Steve to put on it. And the arm cuff, it's all carbon fiber and it's really, really nice. This arm cuff. He sends it with a rubber insert in it. Well, I mean, you have to put it in, but it's there, and it's adjustable to as how you want it. I mean, this shaft is extremely light, but it's very, very strong. So I'm looking forward to using this. I haven't mounted anything to it yet. I just haven't had time to go out and do any hunting, but it's a very, very nice shaft. Like I said, the cam locks are just really good. Steve makes great cam locks. So I think it's going to be a all around good deal on this. It's going to be good for water hunting and anything. So soon, probably right after the first of the year, when he goes into full blown production, Phil will have these in the shop, I'm sure. So be looking for them. We'll make an announcement when they do come in. And something else that Phil already has in stock, and it's from Dan's Lanyards, who makes the best lanyards on the planet. He has the lanyard we have him make for the Deus 2. And it's just an extra security precaution for your remote control. This shaft does have the little lock mechanism on it. But this is also just a double protective measure that it's easy to put on, and it's all strong paracord, and it attaches to your shaft because, trust me, you do not want to lose that remote control. That could be, I don't know, $800, $800, I think, for a new remote control. And you don't want to lose one. So for like, I don't know, $20 or something, Phil has these in stock. Get yourself one. If you got two detectors, get yourself two. And get another lanyard for your pinpointer. So y'all have to bear with me. You know, the heat's running on in the house. It's getting me all dried out. Plus the front's coming. I probably should be drinking wine and not water, but you know, there is that. So anyway, I think we're going to have a good show for you tonight. One guest, and I'm getting a little tired of this situation. You know, you contact people and ask them if they would like to be on the show. Oh, yeah. I want to be on, you know, I want to promote my YouTube channel or whatever. And you correspond with them. And then, you know, I always try to get up with the people before the show, a week before the show, and a couple days. And then you get no response. So they just don't bother to show up. So I'm getting a little tired of that situation. You know, these people, you're trying to, you know, get them some exposure, and they just don't think enough of you to follow through with it. Or, you know, I've had a couple people say, oh, well, I've been in a bad mood, so I can't be on the show. So whatever. Anyway, so like I said, after the first of the year, there's going to be some changes made on Treasure Tales. So we'll cover that after a while. So, well, before I expire here, let's go ahead and say hello to the people that have showed up in the chat and that are viewing. And Andrew T. was the first one in the chat tonight. He says, good evening, everyone, from the Great White North. And I think you're probably getting blizzarded up there, Andrew, from what I see on the news. And so stay safe. And then my brother from another mother, the Mumbles Man. And then my other brother from another mother, Phil Myers, the Guru, is in the house. And we got Detecting Youngstown, 3:30. Good evening to you. Glad that you are here. We've got Delco Detecting, and we're awful glad that you joined us tonight. My good buddy, Big Poppy Joe Vizzy. And y'all are going to get to meet Big Poppy coming up in January. So that's going to be a really good show with Big Poppy. Gene P. Yes, Gene P. Wonderful friend of mine and a killer lady detectorist from the Carolinas. Gene, we're glad that you're here. Practical Ken. How are you? Good to see you tonight. Excuse me. Let's see. Who else is in the house? Da, 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 da. Well, we're getting there. Let's see. Mark Fiorella. Hello from Buffalo. Storm is at our doorstep. I think it probably is, Mark. It's probably going to get buried up there. You guys get a lot of snow anyway, but I think you're really going to get pounded with this one. So be safe. And let's see who else is here in the house. Oh, geez, Mark Fiorella says it's raining now, but it's going to turn to snow with the high winds coming. That's going to give you a bed of ice covered by snow. It's going to be treacherous there. So be safe. Dirty Paws Detecting. Mike and Trish, glad that you joined us tonight. And you guys, please bear with me with the hacking. This front coming through is just about to put me under. Moose in New York. See, I got it right this time. I used to always, it looked like Moose Ninny. But it's Moose in New York. Great fella. He says he's 45 there and rain. Well, I think you're fixing to get it soon. Richard Pelkey from Vermont. He says they're going from snow to rain, 50 degrees on Friday, high winds, and then back in the teens. So it's going to be an icicle up there as well. Surfside Dan. Hey, Dan, glad to see you here tonight. And let's see. We may have... let's see. I think that's it for the chat for right now. There'll be more people coming aboard, I think. As you can tell, I'm all stuffed up, and it's that time. 'Tis the season to be stuffed up and everything. So good thing tonight is the one guest that is here is I'm just going to pretty much turn it over to him. I will ask him some questions. We'll get to know a little bit more about him. A lot of you probably know him from the chat. And he's a wonderful fella. And I'm getting medical advice here. I need some mental advice, please. That's number one. Always go the mental first, you know. Anyways. Yes, Mike and Trish. Yes, I do need a hot toddy. I need probably about 3 of them. So I'll get one of those after the show. Thank you. That's a good idea. Thanks for bringing that up. I think I will definitely have one of those. I think I do have, I know I've got some cream. I've got some Kahlua, and I've got some vodka. So I'll probably have me a nice, and I'll warm it up. Warm up the cream a little bit and have a warm white Russian. That sounds like a good idea to me. So let's go ahead and bring on our guest. And you may know him as Detecting the Six or Prospector Steve. So let's bring him on here.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fixing to die, I think, but that's another story. You know, excuse me a second.
Not after you have that white Russian, it'll get you going.
Well, it'll do something. And put me in a coma, I think, which is probably not a bad thing.
That'll get you some rest.
Dan, Surfside Dan said, a manticore in my hand will make me feel better. Well, that may be. The jury's still out on whether or not I'm going to get a manticore, Dan. I have not seen it. I'm going to give it a little time to see what transpires with the manticore, if it is indeed what it's perpetuated to be. I know the Deus 2 definitely is. So that's what I'm currently using, but I'm not going to rule out a manticore. You never can tell. So, Steve, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody and tell them a little bit about you?
Sure. I'm Prospector Steve. I'm Metal Detecting the Six is my YouTube channel. I'm from Toronto. I've been metal detecting for about 8 years now. And I guess people may not like my profession, but I'm a lawyer, or what you'd refer to in the United States as an attorney.
We call them lawyers, plus many other things, but
Yeah, of
not all
course.
of them are bad.
Some good, mainly
only
bad.
divorce lawyers are generally the bad ones.
Personal injury.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of detector are you using now?
So I currently use an Equinox 800. Started out with a starter detector, a bounty hunter,
Mm-hmm.
Quicksilver, I think it was called at the time. I still have that one, and I've used a Garrett AT Max in the past as well.
That's a good detector. Well,
It is.
the bounty hunter's not a bad detector. It is what it is. It's pretty much what it does, what it's designed to do.
Well, exactly, and it was a great detector to learn on, and I used it for a few years before upgrading to the AT Max. You just got to get used to your detector, right?
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
they all do their job and their function, and you need to set them up right, and just get the experience detecting.
Yes, definitely. And learn your detector. I think you're the key
Right.
right there. So if you know your detector, people ask all the time, well, what's the best detector? What's the best detector? So the one you like is the best detector. The one you know how to use is what you're going to find more stuff with. It's pretty simple, really.
Yeah, well, and I think you said it, I forget, maybe last week or maybe on the Treasure Talks show. Read the manual. Understand your manual. Understand what the settings will do for your detector. What you'll find in the different settings or potentially find. So if you're just a starter in terms of metal detecting, and I know most of the people watching are more experienced, uh, all the detectors work. So
That is true. And we're getting a lot of comments. I don't know. I think you might be able to see them. Dirty Paws Detecting says no one likes a lawyer until you need one, and that's true. That's true. I got some very good friends that are attorneys.
we do our job in terms of the legal profession. That's for sure. It's a
Well,
stressful job,
it's
but
you know the ones that make up all the jokes and stuff about attorneys. They're the ones that probably went through a real bad divorce, and the bottom line is this: the attorney's just doing his job, and you'd want it'd be okay if it was their attorney that got everything done. That's a good thing. But when your ex-wife or ex-husband's attorney gets the better, then of course, he needs to go to the bottom of the ocean and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, where we best remain, right?
so, we need attorneys. Trust me, we need attorneys. And we need probably more of them. So, what type of hunting do you generally do?
So most of my hunting is urban hunting. I live in a big city. Toronto's a 3 million, 3.5 million people, and just around the Toronto vicinity is a population of 10 million. So uh, schoolyards, parks. There are some beaches. We're on Lake Ontario, of course, but a lot of those beaches are, let's call them contaminated.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
a lot of landfill on the beaches, a lot of iron on the beaches, and so it's hard metal detecting. The beach is certainly around. I'm in the west end of Toronto. The east end of Toronto has some better beaches, more sandy beaches, and a couple of hours north of Toronto, Wasaga Beach, which is a large
Hmm.
freshwater beach, is not bad. But in Toronto itself, it's very hard on some of the beaches because of all the iron content.
Hmm.
So I don't tend to do that. I do travel a lot to Hawaii, so those are beautiful beaches to do. And one day, when I retire, I guess maybe I'll want to do Longboat Key or the Treasure Coast down in Florida.
The Treasure Coast is everybody wants to hunt the Treasure Coast, and there are some people that do very well there. Terry Shannon being one, Jimmy Crossbones being another. He does very well down there, but they live down there and they're out there all the time and they know the beaches.
Right.
Treasure Coast, they are just pounding sand on those beaches and they're not dredging it from offshore. They're bringing it in from the interior.
Mm.
I mean, 3, 4 feet at a time. So, some days you go there and you just get skunked, you know.
But it's a nice walk.
Well, Terry does, he does a lot of it and he walks probably 6, 7 miles every day, metal detecting, and some
Yeah.
days he'll find a penny, and that's it.
But I gotta tell you, I mean, I'm in a very stressful profession. So metal detecting is a great mental health kind of break. It's great exercise. And obviously it's a lot of fun, which is why I got into it.
Andrew T says Woodbine Beach in Toronto's a good beach. Have you hunted that one?
Woodbine Beach is probably the better of the beaches. That's more in the east end of Toronto. We've done. There's a metal detecting club in Toronto that's done some events on Woodbine Beach. Because I'm in the west end, I'm in Etobicoke, so Andrew obviously knows the lay of the land here. It's a little further for me to drive, so I kind of just stick to the west end.
Yeah, kind of when you get out, you go to the closest area that you can go. See
Yeah,
if you
you
get
know
some
what?
cool
It's
stuff.
Jeff. If people doing schoolyards and parks, it's amazing what people lose
Oh,
in a
sure.
schoolyard or a park, right? Um,
Yep.
you know, we continue to go back to one park, and gotta tell you, the amount of gold rings that the friend that I metal detect with has found in that park over the years is like he's found dozens of gold rings, and it just boggles the mind. That people lose that much stuff.
Yeah, they do, and my wife's always amazed. Because I'm primarily a beach hunter. In the winter times, about the only time that I dirt dig uh, because it's just too hot. And she is continually amazed by how much we find. Now, to your point, there's a little park over here near me. I know Mumbles Man has hunted it with me, and we've all found lots of silver, and over the years. And every time we go over there, there's always still tons of coins.
Yeah.
There's always something to find. So, and people's jewelry and all kinds of stuff. So people do indeed lose the stuff. Now, it's got a paved track that goes around the athletic field. So there, a lot of people walk there. So I imagine, that's where a lot of the stuff is lost. But still, there's a lot of stuff found over there.
Yeah, and it's a matter of doing your research and your homework. Where do the people go? Where do
Yeah.
people congregate? You're not going to find a lot of stuff where there are not a lot of people, but um, you got a 5,000 or 10,000 person event at the park. Go afterwards.
Yeah. Now,
After the event's over, there's going to be a lot of stuff dropped there.
oh yeah, sure. When you beach hunt, do you hunt in the water?
I don't. I'm not. To be honest, I love Hawaii, but I'm not a great swimmer. And I find to be, that's where my AT Max is, where I use it. It's not the greatest wet water, salt
No.
water machine, and I've got to ground balance it and take down the sensitivity. So I tend on the beaches in Hawaii to just do the sand.
Hmm.
I'll go to the beach and I'll observe where the people are sitting and do the towel line, or where people just tend to sit.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and I found great stuff there. And
Oh yeah.
I find rings, I find a lot of coins, unusual coins. I found like I think it's called a Puja Heju religious coin from India on the beach one year. So you find interesting things.
Well, in Hawaii, I think you probably would, being as though it's one of the top tourist destinations in the world. So you would get people from all over the world, I would think.
Yeah, and also what I find is so I tend to stay in Maui when I go
Hmm.
to Hawaii, and I stay on the south west side down by Wailea, and the rich hotels and the beaches there are great places to hunt, either early in the morning or just before sunset.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So stay with us. We're going to have a word from our sponsor, and when we come back, we'll continue on with more with Prospector Steve. Stay with me right here.
Hey friends, Phil Myers here from Myers Metal Detectors, and today I'm going to show you a really cool Christmas gift for your favorite metal detectorist. And if that's you, that's fine too. You could be your own favorite metal detectorist. That's the Excalibur shovel, and this is a Merlin version, which means you can take this apart. Let's say you're going on a hunting trip, you need to travel with it. There's two push pins, pops out. It's very durable. I don't think you'll find a finer shovel for metal detecting ever. And then this is the second head that you could put on the same shovel. So if you needed something that was smaller, working in somebody's yard, you don't want to go with your great big shovel. That is an awesome tool for metal detecting. Also, check out the Excalibur digger. It's none finer here. And then I had a good friend of mine who's an excellent leather worker, make some sheaths for him. This package is available on my website, myersdepot.com, or on eBay. I have it, Metal Detector Guru on eBay. So check them out, come in the shop, or purchase it online. Phil Myers for Myers Metal Detectors, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
That's our boy. That's the guru. And if you haven't ever used an Excalibur shovel, you definitely need to get one. It's one of the finest shovels made in the world. And I think probably is the finest shovel in the world. So you just basically do parks and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and look, I moved this year to a 6-inch coil, so I use the Equinox 800. But
Hmm.
whatever detector you use, if you're doing a trashy park, I would really recommend a smaller coil, a sharpshooter coil, or the 6-inch. For me, this year has been fantastic. I found probably more jewelry this year in those trashy areas using the 6-inch coil, because previously using the stock coil, I'm going over targets, or picking up signals from your pull tabs and your beer bottle caps, and
Yeah.
all the other junk that's around the picnic benches. So a friend of mine was using a Deus 2 with a smaller coil, and I decided to buy one. And he was absolutely right. In terms of using that smaller coil has been fantastic, and quite frankly, it has slowed my swing down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the things, right? Go low and slow, using that detector, and it's been fantastic.
And now, have you tried the Coiltech 9x5 for the Equinox?
No, I have not.
That might be one you want to put in your arsenal if you're going to continue with the Equinox. The
Yeah,
good thing about that,
I'm not sure. I have been reading all this stuff about the Manticore and the Equinox 7 and the Equinox 9. I think people are getting different results with the Manticore, so I'm not sure yet. About continuing on or switching around, or heard a lot of good things about some of the other detectors on the market.
there's an awful lot of good detectors in the market. I mean,
Yeah.
there again, it is personal preference. Now, however, if you're talking MindLab Equinox, Coiltech makes outstanding coils, and even for the Equinox 800 that you have, you can use the Coiltech coils if you decide to buy a 700 or a 900. Now, they will not work on the Manticore,
Oh.
but I think Coiltech is going to do something for the Manticore, and we'll have Trevor back on the show pretty soon to elaborate on that. After the Manticore gets out into the public's hands, which I think probably it'll start following in, a little more rapidly, probably mid in January, I think, probably. I don't know, but so, there's all kinds of coils and everything out there. So, uh, it's a good thing. The more these people come out, and I really get tired of the people going, well, I've got the Manticore, I've got the Equinox 800, and it's better than your Deus 2. Your Deus 2 is junk, or the Garrett Apex is junk. That's the biggest bunch of horse hockey I think I've ever seen. People
They're
need
all
to,
great machines.
yeah. The more and now they're really dissing on the Legend. Let me tell you what, the Legend Nocta makes a fantastic machine. So people just need to get over that, and
It's again, to me, it's time. I call it time under the coil.
yeah,
Right. The more time that you spend, you learn your machine, whether you're following the numbers or listening to the tones,
yeah,
which is what I kind of tend to do. I'm just out for a walk sometimes, and I'm looking or listening for the higher signal on my machine. I'm digging a lot of pennies for sure, but the way that I set up my machine. And I've got Lori Gagne, and I think she's going to be your guest on one of the women detectors coming up. I got to really thank her, because finding Canadian clad with the Equinox 800 was
uh-huh.
really difficult in its multi-frequency mode. And so we were at an event, and she came up to me and she said, set it on 40 kilohertz. And she threw down a quarter in the sand. We were on Woodbine Beach at this event. And sure enough, there's the signal on the Equinox 800 coming in at 21 or 22. And I said, yeah, I'm going to dig that. I'm not digging a 1 or a 2 on the machine.
Yeah,
And so that's how I run it. I run it at 40 kilohertz, and I'm basically digging everything that if it's a solid 6, a solid 8, solid 12, solid 14, and then anything above 18, I'll dig.
yeah. She's really good.
Yeah,
Did you
she's terrific.
did you get her digital book?
No, I did not. I
Send her
should
an
look into
email.
that.
She'll send you a copy. She blames me for that because I told her she needed to write a book, and I kind of kept after her until she did. So it's been a very, very good book, and she has been testing the Manticore. So we'll learn a lot about that Monday night. The
Yeah,
night.
I'd be interested to hear about that.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very good. So now do you? I guess I should have checked, but I didn't. I got so much other stuff going on. I don't get to watch as much YouTube as I want to. Do you post videos to YouTube, or you just have a YouTube channel to watch?
No, so I post videos every week. I try and do it on the weekend. Basically, I'm hoarding videos right now because it's winter and I can't go out. The ground is frozen.
That sure
Um,
is.
and even if I can cut through the ice, the ground basically will not let me dig. It's pretty solid right now in a lot of spots. There are some places where there are some soft spots that I could go to, and I could do some forests. I'm not, I don't have a lot of experience doing forest hunting, but certainly there are guys who do that in the east end of Toronto a lot in the ravines.
Yeah.
And they find great stuff. They find silver coins and older things. So I haven't really tried that, but it's something that I'm thinking about doing over the winter time.
Well, it sounds to me like it's about time to pack up the Equinox and go to Hawaii for about 8 weeks.
Oh, I'd love to do I'd love to do that. Those trips are coming up for sure.
Yeah, and get out there and wait a little bit.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting the gear to make it more waterproof and then do the shallow end. There are guys. It's so amazing. I don't know what it's like in Florida, but I know that when you go down to Waikiki Beach in Honolulu, there's a guy who's walking back and forth in the shallow water with a metal detector, and he's like 100 feet out. Right, the shallow end goes out that much.
Oh yeah, that's where you find the stuff.
And right, exactly, right. The gold will drop in right there.
Yep. So you can go out to neck deep and find it. Actually,
Yeah.
you can, if you had a Nemo, like you say, you're not a good swimmer, so probably not. But just out where people can't wade, that's where you find the real good stuff. But get in the water. All you need, your Equinox, either it's going to leak or it's not going to leak. That's
Right.
the thing. And is it still under warranty?
No, probably not. It's oh gosh, it's probably about 4 years old now.
Well, I probably wouldn't take it in the water then.
I'm trying to get my son. My son's a good swimmer. I get him to do the the snorkeling and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I don't know that you really need to snorkel. I don't snorkel when we hunt. We're waders. Get out and hunt about neck deep is about as deep as I can get.
Yeah.
And, we find an awful lot of stuff, a lot of jewelry and stuff. So if you have or are looking, because all it takes is one or two good finds to pay for the detector,
And pay for the trip.
Yeah. So, get yourself a good beat scoop. You can call Phil at Myers and, he could, you tell him when you're going to go to Hawaii and he can ship it over to Hawaii for you.
Yeah, for sure.
And get the travel shaft on it. Possibly a CKG scoop with the travel shaft. You're not outlaying a lot of money because you're not going to be a full-time beach hunter. But you can bring that back in your suitcase. So
when I retire, I'll be a full-time beach hunter.
Yeah, and well, then when you retire, then you'll look at possibly another scoop. But CKG scoops are pretty good scoops, and so I think you'll find once you get in the water, especially in the summertime. Of course, in the summertime in Toronto, it's not like the summertime here. I don't know what your water temperature is. When we're in the summertime here, when we're out in the water sometimes is 90 degrees. So it's warm. And the same thing will be in Hawaii. The water will be warm.
The water in Hawaii is the same temperature all the time. It's the same temperature all the time in Hawaii. You're looking at basically 80 degrees every day.
Yeah. So it'd be worth the investment.
Yeah, for sure.
I think $190 get you the scoop and the carbon fiber travel handle. Can't beat that.
I'll
So
have to
you
keep that in mind for sure.
so you find one ring and then you're off to the races.
I
So
found my best find actually comes from Hawaii. So
yeah,
this is treasure tales. Let's talk about a nice tall tale. So
okay.
the first time that I actually went to Hawaii with my metal detector and I was using my bounty hunter, um, I was down in behind one of the hotels down on Wailea Beach, and I was there with my son. And I checked out. Being the lawyer that I am, I checked out the laws. You can do all the beaches in Hawaii. They're all public beaches. There are no private beaches there. And there I am on the beach, and we just got there. I'm with my son, and the lady comes running down from her perch at the hotel, and I thought she was going to kick me off the beach. And I looked at her, and she says, "Can you help me?" And I said, "Sure, what's up?" And she said, "Well, one of my guests lost his gold ring and necklace on the beach." So this is the first time I'm on Wailea Beach, and it goes on for quite a ways. And I'm looking down the beach, and she says, "No, no, no, don't worry about. He knows exactly where he thinks he lost it." And I said, "Okay, great." And I'm using my bounty hunter, and I'm thinking, I've got 12 settings on this machine, right? So I just left it with no discrimination whatsoever. And she showed me where this guy thought he lost his gold ring. And, I knew that it had to be, I guess, pretty shallow. He just lost it that afternoon. And within a couple of minutes, I got a great signal of like it hit iron and then jumped really high on me. And I thought, okay, I think this is it. And I said I pointed to my son, I go, "Look, dig here." And he went down and we had a handheld sand scoop at the time. And he digs and he pulls up, and on the end is dangling the chain and the gold ring. So there's a guy actually in a lounge chair nearby, and he's just gobsmacked that I found this thing. And I called the lady down. And she comes running down. I go, "Well, here it is." And she goes, "Great. Are you going to be here a while?" And I said, "Well, I just got here. So yeah, I'm just going to go down and I was doing a grid at the time. And about 15 minutes later, this young man, maybe in his 20s with his friend, comes bouncing down to the beach because I had found what was his grandfather's gold ring and chain, right? He was playing volleyball and it had come off. And he presses into my palm $50, right? And I thought,
Well, we kind of that to him.
So and that's really, I think, part of what I like about metal detecting, when you can do that.
Yeah.
When you can find somebody's lost object. And I've actually found a colleague's lost ring as well.
Yeah,
She lost it, but
yeah, a lot of people, that's what they do. I know Pink Power Alley,
yeah,
and she'll be on Monday night. She does a lot of that, and everything that she gets for her ring finding uh, goes to a cancer society, which I
correct.
think is just an awesome thing. And
Yeah,
she's really good.
she's fantastic. She
She
really
is
is.
absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's got an open invitation to work on the dive boat down at Scuba Wise with Captain Fizz when she retires.
I thought she was retired already.
Mhm.
I thought she was retired already.
I don't think so. I think she's still got to work every day.
Oh my gosh.
I think probably another couple years, I think, before she retire. We'll find out. I mean, we'll talk to her on Monday night and, see. So that will be definitely a boost for Captain Fizz because she did, and that's what she'd love to do. She loves to dive. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And Andrew T says It's the Kelly Shire's breast cancer. Yes. Yeah, that's what it was. I couldn't think of the name, but Allie is just, she is one top flight individual, all around good egg. We really like her. And she's extremely good at what she does. Very, very good at what she does. So, what's next for Prospector Steve?
Well, you know what? It's just continuing to do what I do. I'm trying to encourage my son to get more into the hobby. The one friend of mine that I do a lot of metal detecting with, he's getting older, and his mobility is not great anymore. It's not the best, and uh, I used to detect alone. That's how I started. But it's lonely. It's a lot more fun when you're detecting with other people, right?
Yeah.
You get to share the finds. Um, if somebody calls you over and say, "Hey, look what I've got," and there's the shining gold bracelet sitting in the ground, or a silver ring, or whatever. There's a lot of camaraderie that's built with that. So I'm trying to encourage my son. I might reach out to some other people and uh, go hunting with them. And in the winter now, I'm kind of sitting around. I've got my videos to make, so I kind of turn to now my baseball card collection or hockey card collection.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be doing that, and just following videos and following shows like yours, Digging Canuck. You guys are great for the hobby.
Well, thank you. Now, how old is your son?
My son now is 21. He's just finishing up his fourth year of university.
So, is it kind of hard to get him involved in it?
I think he was. I'll be honest. I think he's actually a better detectorist than I am.
Mm-hmm.
He's found some great stuff the few times that he's gone out. When we go to Hawaii, I've got two detectors that we have there. So one is obviously for him to go with me, and we'll see. Kids are kids; they'll do what they want to do, and they're interested in their own thing. And his hobby is really photography. So I want to try and get him down with me to the beach, or come out with me to, make the videos a little bit more interesting with his
Yeah.
photography work.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Well, I had the same thing. My grandson, he used to like to go, um, but as they get older, it's not as much his thing. He says, "Yeah, I'd like to go." He says, "Just to spend time with you," but he's really not into it. He's now in college, and they do their own thing, as most kids do, and that's the way it should be. You can't really force it upon them, but
Absolutely.
it's always nice when you have, uh, you know, your son or daughter that will go with you. I like it because he does the digging.
Well,
But
he'll come down with me when we do the seated hunt events, and he enjoys that. But in terms of getting him out with me on the weekends is a lot harder. And quite frankly, right now when he's studying, that I can't take away from that time.
right, right. Now, do you belong to a metal detecting club?
I don't belong to a metal detecting club per se, but I am part of the Toronto Metal Detecting group. It's more of a Facebook group. There aren't really any meetings, or there haven't been any meetings of that group since COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy who organizes that detecting club organizes some seated hunts, and he usually does two a year, one down at Woodbine Beach, and then the other one up at Wasaga Beach, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours north of Toronto.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's the COVID situation in Canada? Can you freely travel now, or are they
Yeah,
still?
there's no restrictions, and quite frankly, I've been traveling through COVID anyway. Once you get your shot, your
Mhm.
COVID vaccine, and as long as you were fully vaccinated once travel began, we were allowed to travel. You had to go through the process of getting screened and getting your test that you didn't have COVID to get aboard the airplane. But all the restrictions are now gone.
Oh, good. We got a question from Jean P. She wants to know where have you detected other than Hawaii in the United States?
That's it. I'm not sure in terms of other places. I've traveled to New York and that kind of area, but I don't tend to take my detector down there. And I think some of those places you need permits, and then certain like you're restricted to certain parks. I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought
But
maybe
like I
you'd
said,
gone to
I'd like to
Dig.
do Florida.
I thought maybe you'd gone to Dig Stock in Chazy.
I haven't yet, but that's kind of on my list to do. So when he does I guess his fall event is in Upper State.
His fall event, I don't know exactly where it's going to be. Looks like he's frozen. I don't know if it's mine or his internet, but he'll be back. Uh, his spring event is in the Carolinas. I'll attend that. His fall event, I think, is going to be in Upper New York still, but I'm
Okay.
not sure. So, we'll have, he's going to be on in January on Treasure Talk to talk about the upcoming North Carolina dig stock, which is going to be from now on. It's going to be their big hunt, and then they'll have another fall hunt too. So it's going to be in March.
Yeah, I've signed up to his newsletter now. I saw him, I guess, on your program maybe a month ago, promoting the dig stock event. So I've signed up for that, and I'd really like to go. That would be a lot of fun. From a history perspective, Canada is relatively young versus the United States, and you guys have you guys have more history in terms of the Revolutionary War, and the Civil War, of course, lasting as long as it did. Now, that said, obviously there are places in Ontario, which is my home province, where there was battles going on in the War of 1812. So there are areas that that I could drive to outside of Toronto where some of those battles took place, and that's you got to do the research for that, right?
Yeah.
But there are some spots, and Canada's got all of its restrictions when it creates a national historic park, so you can't do anything there on those lands. But there are going to be some forested areas around where Liz is, around Hamilton, Stony Creek, and then on the other side along the lake, Kingston out to Cornwall. So that's a matter of doing research, though, and you got to spend the time doing that.
Yeah, it takes time, and I'm sure you're busy and don't have a lot of time for that. I think Gene P just reminded me it's March 9th through 12th is the dig stock event. So I hope the weather cooperates with us. In North Carolina, it could still be a little chilly and could be rainy, but it's going to be what it's going to be. So I will take my Excalibur Sir K in hand, and the Mumbles Man and he'll take his Merlin, and we'll be off to dig stock. And we're going to go to that hunt, and then we're going to head up and detect Virginia Beach for a week. So
yeah, that sounds great. And chili beats freezing anytime.
Oh yeah. I don't care if it's real chilly. I don't like it to be real hot when you're out digging in the dirt. So it should be a good time, a very good time. So we'll find out more all about it here in a couple of weeks. I think he is coming in mid-January. I think the second week in January, possibly. I'd have to look at the schedule, but so Pete will be on and he'll tell us all about it. So it'll be a great time. Well, Steve, I tell you what, this hour's flown by, hadn't it?
Have we already been on for for an hour?
Yeah.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah. So, it's real nice to finally put a face to I see you on all the time, and finally put a face to it and find out a little bit more about you, what makes you tick, and uh, and what you like to do. And I'm sure everybody else enjoyed that as well. And I know you've got a lot of friends in the chat, but they may never have met you. And that's the wonderful thing about this hobby. You got friends all over the world. Maybe you never shook their hand, but they're
You
still
know
your
what?
friend.
It's and Jeff, like I said, I think your show's terrific, and you and Phil do a great job with Treasure Talk, and there is a fellowship in this hobby, and
Yeah,
it's the one thing that over the 8 years, you do get to meet a lot of great people and like-minded people.
yeah,
We're not, I don't treasure hunt for the money or the coins or anything. I do it for the enjoyment. Everything that I get, if I can't find the owner, I mean, it's hard finding the owner when the rings don't say anything. It just goes into a box. I don't
yeah.
sell it. I just keep it, and I've got coin jars all over the place. But the people in this hobby are really fantastic.
Yeah, they are, and I found them all to be pretty much uh, good individuals, good eggs. So,
Yeah.
we got a lot of friends all around the world. Well, Stephen, I think it's time for us to go, but I want to
All right.
thank you ever so much for joining us tonight. I think everybody was overjoyed to meet you and put a face with the name that they see, and keep us posted on what's going on some of these Hawaii trips, and hopefully you won't get too bad of weather up there to snow you in.
No, I've got hockey tomorrow, so I gotta be able to travel to the hockey rink.
Oh, you'll be all right. You'll be. I tell you what, you can get to the hockey rink. You may not get into work, but you can get to the rink.
Absolutely.
That's
you,
it.
you know it.
That's it. All right, Steve. Thanks much for joining us,
All right, Jeff. Happy holidays, everybody.
and to you. Wonderful fella, wonderful fella. See him all the time in the chat, and like I said, it's really good to put a face to the name. And it is that season, the holiday season, and as we said, and we look at the news and that kind of stuff. Now, I saw something on the news that just and I shouldn't be flabbergasted by this stuff, but it did. It just flabbergasted me. I think it was in the Carolinas. I don't forget if it was North or South Carolina. A little girl was getting off the school bus, excuse me, and disappeared. Now her parents didn't report her missing for 3 weeks. I mean, I don't know how anybody could do that. So there's some nefarious people out there. So everybody that's got little kids, keep your eye on them, and don't let nothing bad happen to them. It's just an insomnia what's happening out there with some of that kind of stuff. I don't like it, and I know you guys don't like it. So just kind of keep your eye open. Now, next week on Treasure Tales, we're going to have Savannah Harps. If y'all haven't watched any of his YouTube videos, you need to check them out. And we're also going to have Team Lynch. So we're going to have a really good show to end the year on. And then I'll just give you kind of a rundown what's happening in January. January 5th, we're going to have Berks County Metal Detecting and Doug Odette. And then we're going to have on the 12th, Joe Vizzi and the Diggin' Duo. And then we're going to have Excalibur Shovels on the 19th. And on the 26th, we're going to have Digologist and the Dime Detective. And that will carry us through the month of January. So as I said, there's going to be some changes coming after the first of the year, and we'll cover them more as we get closer. Please join us for Treasure Talk on Monday night, and where we're going to have the premier women detectives of the world on the show, and it's going to be a really, really good time. So we hope that you join us. If you have not, entered for the giveaway. What we're giving away on Treasure Talk Monday night, we're giving away 2 sets of a CKG camo cap and fines pouch, and they're nice products. So get over, look on the channel, find that entry video, and if you're not a member of Treasure Talk, make sure that you follow the directions to become a member, because we do check, and you're not eligible to win unless you're a member of Treasure Talk YouTube. So make sure that you remember, get entered, join us on Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will definitely have a good time. So it is that time of the year. I won't see you again till after Christmas. So I hope everybody has that special time with their family, and has a special time with our Lord. He's the reason for the season. And we just wish that you guys have the very merriest of Christmases and the Happy New Year. And I hope when you open your stocking and the next time you go out metal detecting, that you find that bucket lister that you've been looking for. So everybody, from us here at my house, my wife Susan and I know from Phil, who sponsors Treasure Tales, we wish you the merriest of Christmases and the happiest of New Year's. Thank you for watching. Happy hunting and dig deeper.